Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So, guys, you've probably heard the news by now. You guys know when Canelo Alvarez, when there's breaking news about him, and there's definitely breaking news that has broke today, that Canelo Alvarez is about to finalize a deal with John Ryder. Um, Now I know a lot of people are gonna come out and criticize. Before I do get into it, apparently the fight is looking to be finalized in Mexico, and Canelo Alvarez hasn't fought in Mexico for a very long time. So this would be this would be a treat for his Mexican fan base, Mexican following. Canelo Alvarez fighting in Mexico would be definitely be something that a lot of the Mexicans have wanted to see for a while. And I think him not fighting in Mexico has probably resulted in maybe some of the Mexican fans being a bit disconnected with Canelo Alvarez. Maybe Canelo not getting the respect and love, because you know what, a lot of your fan base, a lot of your hardcore Mexican fans sometimes dislike you, because it's a bit like some British fans I know say about Amir Khan, for example, that he went and went and took the paycheck and took the pound note, went to America and fought in America instead of fighting in the UK. And some British fans didn't really like that. You know, they maybe didn't show him as much love in years to come. And maybe Canelo Alvarez should do fight a lot more fights, especially now that he's a star, and it doesn't really make a difference to him from a financial perspective because he's minted. But a fight like this against John Ryder makes a lot of sense. Personally, I think you should take a major fight there as well. It adds to your legacy, you know, fighting in front of your own fans and your own people. Because let's not forget, Canelo's Mexican. He's not American. He's not like Oscar De La Hoya. If I'm not mistaken, was Oscar born in America? I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure. But Oscar was a different situation. You know, Oscar was I think Oscar might have been born in America. He speaks very good English as well. Canelo's situation's different, completely different. He's a Mexican fighter that's moved overboard or moved to another country to, you know, obviously there's obviously more financial, especially when Canelo was coming through, and when Canelo was, 5, 6, 7 years ago, the financial opportunities were in America. So it made sense. But I definitely think when you get to the level that Canelo's at, I think Canelo should have had more fights in Mexico. I definitely think it makes a lot of sense for someone like Canelo to fight in front of his own people, build that connection. I definitely think when you become a star, especially with Canelo should be fighting. He should be fighting. He should be fighting over in the Mexico and America. Maybe especially not once every 5 fights. Give his people a fight where they can watch. Not going to Mexico and fighting in Mexico, for such a long time. It's a long time. So yeah, I think this would be a great treat for the Mexican fans. Like I said, it'll help Canelo's legacy, help his connection with the people there. I think it would be a great event for Mexico as well. So yeah, that's great news. But in terms of the fight, Canelo's going to come under a lot of criticism as always. Fighting John Ryder, I don't think it's a sloppy opponent by any stretch. But it's not a fight. It's not a fight that we expect Canelo to have any trouble with winning. And I mean, I think it's a pretty comfortable win for him. I don't think John Ryder's going to cause him any threats. I do think John Ryder's a good fighter, but I don't think John Ryder's got anything in his arsenal that's going to cause Canelo Alvarez any threat. I think Canelo will deal with him and deal swiftly. I think Canelo will put on a show. I do think Ryder's a good fighter. I do think Ryder can fight. I just don't think he's on the level of Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez will prove that on the night. But I think this is a good fight, good comeback fight. But Canelo's been injured. He's come from surgery. He needs this fight. He needs this fight. He needs this fight for us to see how good he is. Because if he doesn't perform against John Ryder and looks laboured, then, maybe Canelo's best days are behind him. Maybe Canelo is finished. Maybe Canelo isn't the fighter that he was. So I think this is a good fight for us to see where Canelo's at. Because Canelo's last few performances haven't impressed me. I've been less than impressed. The Golovkin fight, I thought it was lethargical, just went through the motions. The Bivol fight, again, a bit lethargic, very slow, not impressive for me. Not look, the Jacobs fight wasn't one-sided by any stretch, but Canelo looked good in that fight. Even the second Golovkin fight, I felt Canelo looked good. Even the first Golovkin fight, I think Canelo looked sharp. I just think Golovkin was better in the first fight, but I think Canelo looked sharp. But there's that zip's not there. Even when he fought Kovalev, I thought that, something was missing. It didn't look great against Kovalev. He's a bit slow, lethargic. There's no purpose there. There's no meaningful. I mean, I thought Canelo looked very good against Saunders. Maybe he needed that bite. Maybe he needed that he needed that, the fact that Saunders was talking a lot of rubbish, so Canelo was up for it. Plant, same. Canelo seemed up for it, even though you could say his performance was, not the greatest against Plant, but we got the job done. Callum Smith, he totally dominated from start to finish. I mean, Callum Smith was just like Callum Smith was, as Christian says, like a tree. I mean, he got battered in there. I mean, it was a very one-sided fight, very boring fight, and that. But I was very impressed when Canelo fought Saunders. And people may say Saunders won a few rounds. No, no, I was very impressed by Canelo's performance in that fight. I think Canelo came out with a purpose from round one. He was attacking Saunders' body. He came out with a purpose. He was very aggressive, and in the end, he broke Saunders' eye socket. I think after that, I think Canelo was really pushing his body, and I think Canelo at that point was overworked. And I think the Plant fight, I think although Canelo got the job done, I think Canelo at that point was feeling the back-to-back camps. I think was getting to him. And I think it wasn't his greatest performance, but he got the job done against Caleb Plant. I think the Bivol fight was one step too far. I think Canelo just got outclassed by a guy that was very skilled, too big, and I think unfortunately that was just maybe a step too far. The Golovkin fight was a fight which it was just a nothing kind of fight. I mean, in the sense that it wasn't exciting. It was a one guy that looked past his best, and you know what? Canelo looked past his best as well. I'm not gonna lie, but we often heard that Canelo Alvarez has been suffering with serious injuries. So now it's an opportunity for us to see whether it was actually the injury, or is Canelo past his best. I do think Canelo is maybe past his prime at this point. But I think Canelo's still a very good fighter and still a very dangerous fighter. The only problem I have now is that's why I think people like Bivol and Beterbiev would be huge favorites, because I don't think Canelo's what he was. I think Canelo naturally, with the back-to-back camps he's had, with the hard career that he's had, I think Canelo Alvarez is going to naturally be slowing down, because Canelo Alvarez isn't a young 30 whatever he is. He's an old 30 because he's been in so many fights, so many back-to-back camps. He's been in a lot of tough fights in his career. You got to understand, he's not been in easy fights. Canelo's been fighting at a very high level for since a very young age. His body is at this point must be broken down. I mean, even though Canelo's body is not like normal people's body, if you look at him, he's built like a house, and you can tell he's got one of those bodies which are like warriors, like built like a house. Very strong bones, dense body. I mean, dense bones. I mean, but I just feel like it doesn't matter how strong you are, it doesn't matter how tough your body is. Trust me, I go to the gym and I work out pretty intensely, 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, my training is probably like a rest to Canelo. That's how hard they train, and the bones, the joints, everything start wearing away. Trust me, I feel pains after doing squats and doing some exercises. I mean, I feel even my back sometimes. You know what I mean? So what I mean is, these guys, I mean, the kind of training they do, their body, and I know they have great like scientists around them, great recovery and this, that, the other, but still, man, your body's your body. And your body, as you get older, starts breaking down. The more it's a bit like a car. The more you use it, the more miles on the clock. The car's gonna start to break down and start to show signs of wear and tear. I mean, and a body's no different. Your body is exactly the same. Your body will start to show signs of wear and tear. So for me, Canelo Alvarez hasn't got that long left. Maybe a couple years left in the sport where he needs to maximize and really cement his legacy as, in my opinion, an iconic fighter, a guy that maybe some people won't appreciate, but you'll appreciate when he's gone, because I think Canelo Alvarez is somebody that, in my opinion, he's really after Floyd Mayweather, he was the guy that took over the mantle. Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, who were legendary fighters, who I believe were running the sport in their time, and I feel like Canelo Alvarez took the mantle over. And really, he's been a credit to the sport, really. I know that there's been some allegations around, PEDs, etc., but he's been great for the sport of boxing, Canelo. I mean, and I want to see him have some big fights. Even if he loses, no problem. I'd love to see him fight Bivol. I'd love to see him fight Benavidez, Andre, Charlo, Beterbiev. I would like, not all of those fights. He's not going to be able to fight all of those guys. Like I said, his body's on the soft at this point. His body is definitely not what it was. So I don't think he's going to be able to fight all of them, but at least if he can fight some of them, I feel like, to cement his legacy as one of the greatest Mexican fighters of all time and leave the sport as as an all-time great, which, you can argue he's already is now. He's already a first ballot Hall of Famer. But Canelo Alvarez, for me, he needs a couple of more fights to put the icing on the cake, to put the cherry on the top, and leave the sport, with his legacy secured, with a bank account full of money. And yeah, that's why I hope Canelo does. Canelo should have another couple of fights, maybe 5 more fights, and that's it. Call it a day. Because at the end of the day, man, you want Canelo to be able to, like, trust me, these type of tough fights take it out on you in 20, 30 years time, and Canelo at the minute he's made a lot of money. There's no need for him to go on forever. I mean, you don't want to become like a Roy Jones or whatever, getting knocked out or losing fights and ruining your legacy, in my opinion. Canelo doesn't need to do that. So for me, leave the sport with your head held high. Maybe another 5 more fights, and then Canelo can see off into the sunset. That's my take. But yeah, Canelo looks to be fighting John Ryder May 6th. It looks like it'll happen in Mexico. Leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.